A mysterious man in a suit arrives at an isolated hotel called Renata, seeking tranquility, isolation, and an escape from the outside world. He is greeted by the hotel manager, who takes him to his reserved room. The man seems to have obsessive habits, as he starts arranging his things in the room impeccably. After relaxing for a while, he goes out and walks around the hotel, which seems empty. He explores various places, such as the pool and the billiard room, before finally returning to his room. During all this time, something seems to be going on in the man's mind, as he appears intrigued and confused. Hey, the movie I'm going to summarize is called The Renata Road. I confess that this film is a bit sinister and will mess with your mind. That's why I invite you to subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and follow me in this summary. When night falls, he turns off the lights to sleep, but can't fall asleep. So he turns on the television, which has only one channel, Animal Planet. Once again, leaving his room, he goes to the hotel bar and meets the young bartender, who offers him a drink. However, the man notices a rule that says no drinks after 9 p.m., so he politely declines the offer. The next morning, the man appears in the dining room for breakfast and sits next to an elderly lady. In his hand, he holds a book, but his gaze wanders around the environment with an expression of curiosity and confusion. The elderly lady tries to make conversation with him, but the man seems distracted by something else. After breakfast, he walks to his room and sees a woman named Ginny practicing yoga. He watches her for a moment, and when she notices him, he retreats. Further ahead, he comes across the hotel manager, putting up posters of rules and procedures on the wall. Next to him is his motionless wife in a wheelchair, who doesn't take her eyes off the stranger with a somewhat sinister air. Later that day, the stranger goes to the pool. After a few strokes, he settles into a lounger with the same red book in hand. Ginny also arrives at the pool area and jumps into the water. Her beauty fascinates the man, who can't look away. Soon after, she approaches him and strikes up an engaging conversation. He feels attracted, but before he can say anything, Ginny's boyfriend arrives and takes her away. At night, the stranger goes to the hotel bar, where the bartender offers him some cigarettes. The stranger again notices the no smoking rule, but the bartender ignores it, saying that these rules only hinder pleasure. This time, the stranger decides to disobey the rule and lights a cigarette. It's clear that it's his first time because he starts choking. Because of this, the bartender teaches him the right way, showing him how to feel the nicotine inside. When night falls, the stranger lies down in bed, but is disturbed by a moan from the yoga girl in the adjacent room. The moan affects the guy in that way, and he becomes unable to control his emotions. He ends up pleasuring himself. The next day, when the man is going to have breakfast, he comes across the bartender peeking into the room of the elderly lady who tried to make conversation with him the day before. This bothers the stranger, so he reprimands the bartender, making him leave. But after a while, he himself takes a look at the room and notices something sinister. The grandmother is trying to satisfy the priest, who is punishing himself. After having breakfast, the man heads to the billiard room, where he meets another stranger who introduces himself as a businessman. As the conversation progresses, the man asks if the businessman has noticed anything unusual about Hotel Renata, to which he responds negatively. Observing his disturbed and distressed behavior, the businessman offers him a pill, assuring that the pill will make him a completely different person the next day. The businessman offers the stranger all the medicine he needs, but with one requirement. The stranger must collaborate to find a key that he lost. Later, returning to his room, the stranger accidentally encounters the maid. As they pick up their things from the floor, the man tries to talk humbly with her, but she quickly asks why he's at Renata. The stranger is left without an answer, and the maid leaves. That night, the guests gather in the dining room, where the hotel manager announces some attractions to entertain the guests during dinner. For the first part of the show, the immobile woman is brought to the stage, along with her son, who is the same bartender. The bartender uses his mother's inert body as a puppet to tell a series of terrible jokes. Here, we notice the strange situation where the guests only react after the stranger looks at them, as if his gaze provoked the reaction. After the end of the first show, the stage receives the hotel manager's daughter, the same maid from before. She sings a beautiful song that enchants the entire audience. When the music ends, a surprising wave of emotion takes over the maid, and she begins to cry. The stranger ends the night eating dinner and taking the pill that was given to him. The next day, he wakes up feeling more lively than before. He prepares and does his morning habits. Driven by the desire for more of the miracle pills, the man decides to help the businessman find the key. Soon, he comes across the immobilized lady in the hallway and observes her necklace with a pendant. Thinking it might be the same key he's looking for, the man reaches in, but only finds a ring. After that, he grabs her and searches her back pocket. There, He finally finds the key and takes it. Soon after, the man goes to the businessman's room to return the key and get more pills. But he finds the businessman playing poker with the hotel Renata manager. They invite the man to join the game, and he accepts. In the middle of the game, the hotel manager leaves to take care of some business, leaving the stranger and the businessman alone. Taking the chance, the stranger hands over the key and in exchange receives a bottle containing a limited quantity of pills. The businessman proposes another game to the stranger, offering him one more full bottle of pills if he wins. But if he loses the bottle he has. The man accepts without hesitation, and to everyone's surprise, he wins the game, taking both bottles of medicine. Later, the stranger is at the pool when the bartender comes to talk to him. They chat about the previous night's performance, and the bartender tells him that the hotel manager forces them to do those shows. He says the manager dominates them, using fear of the unknown to manipulate them. As they talk, the bartender slowly approaches, as if wanting to kiss the stranger. But they are interrupted by the maid, who arrives with towels for them. The stranger is enjoying a hot bath at night when someone knocks on his door forcefully. He wraps himself in a towel and goes to answer. It's the bartender, who invites him to dinner with his family. The stranger is reluctant at first, but ends up accepting. He gets dressed and follows the bartender to the hotel manager's family house. There, he notices that the maid is excluded from the table, even though she's related to them. Intrigued, the stranger questions the reason, and the hotel manager responds that someone has to serve. During dinner, there are awkward silences, leaving the stranger not knowing what to talk about. After a while, an argument starts between the hotel manager and his son about Renata's rules and procedures. When the stranger can no longer bear the tense atmosphere, he gets up and leaves. At midnight, he hears the maid sob, so he goes to her and offers to help, but she runs away, saying that nobody helps her. Soon after, the stranger enters a control room with several security camera monitors. He is shocked to discover that all rooms are monitored by hidden cameras. With this new information, the stranger runs to his room and searches everywhere to find the hidden camera. Suddenly, the TV turns on by itself and transmits images of the maid's involvement in delivering medicine to the businessman, helping the grandmother with her bath, and engaging in intimate moments with Ginny's boyfriend. The stranger begins to suspect that something is very wrong at the hotel. He leaves his room and goes to spy on another empty room. At this moment, the bartender observes him and hands him a key to enter the same room. Inside, he finds several laboratory devices, such as acids, needles, vials with blood dripping, and also some notes on pregnancy and genetic modifications. Seeing all this, the man becomes even more suspicious that the hotel employees and guests are involved in some illegal and immoral activity. Next, the stranger runs to Ginny's room, but finds her boyfriend injecting an unknown substance into her. The stranger confronts Ginny's boyfriend, but soon after, the hotel manager appears, grabs him, and locks him in his room. In the next scene, the bartender sends the maid to the stranger's room. She refuses, but accepts when he threatens to burn her favorite doll. The stranger, however, realizes that she is being coerced and decides to escape from the hotel with her. The bartender, who watches everything through the camera, warns the other guests to prevent the two from escaping. The guests obey as if they were robots programmed by the hotel's computer. The hotel manager, the bartender's father, tries to prevent his son from ruining the hotel's system, but the bartender locks the system and traps his father in the control room. The old man tries to get out, but severely injures his head and dies. The stranger and the maid are almost leaving the hotel when the stranger has a heart attack and falls to the ground. He tries to get up and escape, but the bartender catches up and knocks him down. The other guests catch the maid, and like dominated zombies, forcibly undress her. Then the bartender opens his belt and lunges at the defenseless maid. In the last scene, the stranger comes to his senses and sees the horror of the maid's lifeless body on the floor, crying in pain. He crawls to her, pulls her to the exit door, where the motionless woman is also dead and cold. With a sobbing voice, he sings the same song she had sung in honor of her soul. In the next scene, he's at the hotel reading the book. In my understanding, all of this is the book that the stranger was reading. If you disagree, comment your theory. Leave a like, activate the bell, and see you in the next recap.